Good evening, Ben. Can you hear me?
Hey Aaron. Yes, good evening. Hey, good evening to everybody. Join our monthly webinar. It's nice to see a lot of people again. We're gonna start in a few minutes. We have a very interesting webinar today. With us is Yaron Godeger, the CEO of I Know First. Hello, Yaron. Good evening.
Hello, Ben. Good evening. How are you?
Good, I'm good. We're gonna start right in a few more minutes. We're just waiting for the last people to join us. And meanwhile, feel free to ask us questions during the webinar through the Q&A that you can see in the bottom of your Zoom screen. Don't use the chat, use the Q&A, and we'll try to answer all of your questions by the end of the webinar. We have a really interesting webinar today. We're gonna see some live examples from the markets. We're gonna talk about the market in the last few months. We're gonna see what the algorithm thinks about the future, about the next month. We are expecting a really interesting webinar today, and we're gonna start it shortly.
Ben, are you going to update regarding the soccer game during this webinar?
Every 15 minutes, I'll tell you the score.
Okay, thank you.
To the football fans. I'm gonna keep you updated, don't worry.
Okay, thank you.
And before we're gonna start, also gonna read you quickly the disclaimer below. INF's daily market forecast does not provide personal investment or financial advice to individuals or act as personal, financial, legal, or institutional investment advisor or individually advocates to purchase or sell any other security investment or to use any particular financial strategy. All investing stock forecasting investment strategies include the risk of loss of some or even all of your capital before pursuing financial strategies discussed on this web, but you should always consult with a licensed financial advisor. And so keep that in mind as well. And I'm still seeing people joining us, so we're gonna wait like 2 more minutes, and then we're gonna start. And meanwhile, you can write us in the Q&A. What do you think is going to be the best tech stock for the next half of the year, for the second half of 2024? And we'll publish it in the end. But let us know, what do you think? Which stock is going to perform the best in the second half of 2024? Interesting to see what you think.
Okay. I see that a lot of people are thinking about NVDA as the next
Come on,
tech stock.
be original.
Oh.
Give us something new. Seeing a lot of comments. NVDA, AVGO, interesting. Keep sending us which stock you think is going to perform the best in the second half of 2024. And we have actually a surprise about that. And we're going to start in like 1 minute. We're going to start the webinar. So again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask us through the Q&A. And we'll try to answer all of your questions by the end of this webinar. It's an interesting market right now, so it's worth sticking up until the end of the webinar to see what we have for you today.
Yes, Ben, I think we can start.
Let's start.
Okay, I see that a lot of people are raising their hands with questions already. Please use the chat. It's good to see the great interest, and it's good to see so many people today. Okay, Ben, let's start. We have a very interesting webinar today. I will start with a quick introduction of I Know First, of our activities, and then we're going to move to the main dish. We are going to talk about today's forecast. We are going to talk about opportunities in the market. We're going to talk about, in general, how to use artificial intelligence in order to identify opportunities. So I Know First, we are AI fintech company. Our main solution is a predictive algorithm that basically generates daily forecast for the financial markets and identifies the most promising investment opportunities. We are utilizing artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, artificial neural networks to predict the financial markets. Our predictive algorithm is generating daily forecasts for over 13,500 assets from different asset classes: equities, ETFs, commodities, currencies, cryptocurrencies, interest rates, and also world indices and domain indices, with daily forecast for multiple time frames: short-term, mid-term, and also long-term. This is a global solution. We are covering over 50 global stock exchanges, including the stock exchanges in the US. This is our main focus, basically, but also we are generating daily forecasts for additional markets, such as the Canadian market, the European markets, the markets in India, Japan, Korea, Australia, China, Hong Kong, basically every significant stock exchange around the globe. If we are starting, to those of you that attended the previous webinar, we started the previous webinar with the updated forecast for the Magnificent Seven. And right now we can see basically the results of and the performance of this forecast. Back then we saw NVIDIA on the first place, and we can see that NVIDIA jumped by more than 10% over this the previous month. We saw Apple jumped by 11%. We saw Tesla and Google, all of those companies, stocks led the market over the last month. And we can start basically also with today's forecast for the Magnificent Seven. And we can say that today the algorithm identified Tesla as the best opportunities among the Magnificent Seven. And we can see that actually Tesla is jumping as we speak. I think it's jumping now over more 6%. Let's see. Yeah. Right now, Tesla is basically leading the market today with a 6.4% jump. And basically, this forecast was already sent to our clients yesterday before the trading week. And this is just a quick example to illustrate how the algorithm identified Tesla, Apple, Amazon as the best opportunities in the market today. On the other end, the algorithm had a negative prediction to NVIDIA, and we can see that NVIDIA actually going down today, at least at the opening. And in the very same way, we are generating the forecast for the entire market, identifying opportunities. It was a quick illustration. During this webinar, we are going to see a lot of live examples. So stay tuned until the end. There are very interesting surprises today. It was just an appetizer, as Ben is calling it. The brain behind the algorithm is Dr. Lipa Reutemann, one of the leading experts in the field of artificial intelligence, machine learning from the Weizmann Institute of Science, with over 20 years of experience. In our R&D team, we have PhDs, AI and machine learning experts. We have math professor from the Tel Aviv University, employees with the background of data science, computer science, math, statistics, physics. Ben Rubin is leading our institutional and advisory team with extensive experience in the market, used to work for one of the leading banks in Israel as a financial advisor, and now is leading our advisory team. I'm serving as the co-founder and the CEO of I Know First. I'm also lecturing at one of the leading universities here in Israel. I'm the chairman of the FinTech board in the Israeli Export Institute, with extensive experience in the field of forecasting, IT, and I used to work for one of the leading consulting firms in this specific field. The I Know First predictive algorithm is being trusted by the world's leading hedge funds, investment houses, banks, family office, and also brokerage firms. In this list, you can find multiple hedge funds, investment houses, family offices. With Meitav, one of the names that you can find here, we have basically launched in the previous quarter the first AI-powered mutual fund, and basically we are now developing an additional investment vehicles based on the very same predictive algorithm that we are going to see today. The solution that you're about to see has received several international awards, including awards from UBS, NTT Data in Japan, the Geneva Wealth Tech Forum in Switzerland, and other awards from different entities, different global entities from all around the globe. This is the second year that we are actually delivering a fintech course in one of the leading universities here. In the right side, you can see Ben. Ben is part of the lecturing team. In a website, you can find also different articles about I Know First that were written by different magazines. You can find videos from different TV channels, And we are also attending different fintech events during the year. In the website, you can find also client reviews that can assist you to identify or to find the right package for you. So feel free to go over those reviews. So what do? Basically, we are providing to our clients two solutions. The first solution that is available to everyone is basically the daily forecast that the algorithm is generating. With the daily forecast, you can basically identify the most promising investment opportunities that are available, that are in the market today. The best opportunities from the S&P 500, the best opportunities from the Russell 1000, or the best opportunities from the Russell 2000. All you need to do is just to go to the website to choose the right package that is relevant to you. And from this stage, you will receive on a daily basis a daily forecast with the best opportunities that are relevant for the next, for the very same day. On top of that, we have also developed systematic trading strategies. And here the idea is to convert the daily forecast into a portfolio, and to convert the portfolio into investment vehicle. It could be a mutual fund like we did, or it could be an ETF or any investment vehicle, basically. And we are going to talk about that in the webinar as well today. And the I know first predictive algorithm includes three components. The first component is assisting us to identify the most promising investment opportunities on a daily basis, the best stocks for today, the best stocks for the month, and the best stocks for the next quarter as well. On top of that, it's possible to utilize the predictive algorithm in order to receive stock market intelligence, to identify the leading sectors in the market today among the 11 sectors, to identify the best regions around the globe, to get insights regarding the direction of the main indices, the direction of the volatility indices, and also to get insights regarding sectors and regions that we should avoid, basically. The third component is a customized solution based on each client portfolio. Basically, each client can receive a daily forecast for his own portfolio based on the I know first predictive algorithm. The I know first predictive algorithm is learning the existing portfolio of each client and creating and delivering a daily forecast for each client portfolio. And basically, by combining those two components, it's possible to optimize the performance of each portfolio. So how we do it? Every day, the predictive algorithm is collecting quantitative data. We are using on a daily basis data sets that coming from the entire financial markets. The algorithm is digesting a huge amount of data on a daily basis. Every day, the algorithm is adding the daily data to our database. We are managing database with historical data. And around the clock, the algorithm is learning and basically building, by using our technology, the complex network that exists in the financial market. In the financial markets, there are thousands of correlation sets, and the algorithm is basically, the AI algorithm is able to build this network and to model this basically relationships and the correlation sets between the different assets. The output is basically a forecast for the different timeframes that we can see on the right, to the short term, mid-term, and also long term. The algorithm is basically also learning from each forecast, and this is another input that we are using on a daily basis. In terms of the technology, we are combining different advanced AI methods into one machine learning algorithm. We are utilizing deep learning, artificial neural networks, genetic algorithms, supervised and reinforcement learning. And basically, the most interesting thing about this predictive algorithm, and we are going to talk about that today, is the ability to separate and to focus on the most predictable assets from each investment universe. So if we're taking the Russell 1000 as an example, or the S&P 500 universe, every day the algorithm is able to separate and to focus on the most predictable assets from the S&P 500 or the Russell 1000, and from this is the universe that basically we are utilizing in order to identify the opportunities on a daily basis. Okay, then tell us, what do we see here? Ben, you're muted.
The forecast comes in the shape of a heat map, as we can see in the following slide. The green cells represent a long position, while the red cells represent a short position. We can see the time frame of the specific forecast in the top of the forecast and the date that it was generated in on the top of the table. We are using two special indicators to focus on the best stocks, the signal and the predictability. The signal is the number that you see in the center of each and every square, and it represents the potential movement of the specific asset or the strength of the movement of every asset. The signal is our internal index that moves from minus infinity to infinity, and it's actually helping us to rank the entire investment universe that we want to focus on. This specific indicator is running through all of the assets that we covered, and actually they are speaking the same language. As we can see here in the table, the best signal or the strongest signal is in the top left corner of each and every table, going down to the right of the row. And we can see that in the bottom right of this forecast, we have the strongest signal to the short side, or the going down assets that we want to focus on. You can see, for example, here, Apple is in the bottom of this forecast, and ALU is in the top of this forecast. This is just an example to see the signal all around the forecast. The other indicator is the predictability indicator, which actually tell us how good the algorithm can read the specific forecast, or the probability of each and every specific asset. This indicator moves from -1 to 1, and we usually want to focus on the higher levels of predictabilities. We want to, in each and every forecast, we want to see a few examples about that. We're going to focus on high predictability level because we want to focus on assets that the algorithm can read good, or can generate good forecast on. So this number is really important. I'm gonna show a few more examples about this predictability indicator, and we can find it in the bottom left of each and every square. And as we can see here in XOMA, the predictability is 0.3. That doesn't mean that it's 30%. It actually, in Pearson correlation measurement, for example, 0.0 represents 50% probability that the asset will move to the predicted direction. 0.5 represents the 75% probability, and 1 represents 100%. So always we're going to focus on the best predictability, the best with the higher predictability number, and we also would look for a higher signal. And we're going to see a few examples how to read the forecast. Here we can find the top 20 forecast that showing us the best 20 stocks for long in each and every time frames. That's what you get every morning before the trading starts, before the market opens, and you can find the best stocks that the algorithm suggests to focus on for different time frames. If it's 3 days, 7 days, 14 days, and the higher time frames or longer time frames as 1 month, 3 months, and 1 year. And we can see the assets that it actually suggests to short or sell in the bottom of all of these tables. So we get 6 time frames from 3 days, 7 days, 14 days, 1 month, 3 months, and 1 year. And you get that forecast every day. Every day, you're getting those 6 time frames with the best stocks to choose from long or short on. A quick technical note, you can see the bottom of the file that you're going to get, the 3, 7, 14 days or the 1, 3, 12 month. By clicking on them, you can switch between the shorter time frames to the longer time frames. So just for you to know how to switch between the time frames.
Yes, and this forecast is being sent on a daily basis, basically on 5:30 Eastern time. So basically, when you're waking up in the morning, turning on your PC, you will be able to basically identify the opportunities for today. The forecast for Monday are being sent already on Sunday. And basically, from this stage on a daily basis, you're going to receive this map with opportunities on a daily basis, basically.
Yeah, and let's see some few examples from the last month. Here we are seeing a forecast that generated on 17th of June. This is the 3 days forecast. You can see it in the top left corner, which actually tells us that the algorithm gives us the best stocks that should go up in those 3 days. We can find there stocks such as ESE from the basic materials, or the Six Flags from the consumer investment universe, or UMC, which is from the tech sector. So we see a variety of stocks that the algorithm suggests us to buy from different universes and different sectors. And we can also see in this specific forecast a forecast about the S&P 500 index itself, specifically in all the top packages, the top 10, top 20 packages. In addition to the 10 stocks or 20 stocks that you have, we also provide a forecast about the S&P 500 index. So you get like 11 assets that you can follow on. And these 3 days, we can see to the right the results or the performance of those stocks that we see to the left. We see what ESI did in those 3 days. We can see it's at 3.21%, or CLSK from the crypto universe. We saw a jump of 8%, TSM from the semiconductors. And basically in the bottom, you can see the average of those 10 stocks, average performance of those 10 stocks in 3 days, and comparing it to the S&P 500 index itself that did 0.77, as we can see in the bottom. So another 3 days forecast that generated not long ago, like 26th of June, we can find a lot of automobile forecast stocks here, such as the RIVM, Tesla, MOD, Ford, a lot of automobile companies that again that moved up against the market. We can see that the average was 3.05, while the S&P went down by 0.16%. Interesting to see. While we're seeing those little X's, which means that the algorithm did not predict the right direction. It's not that all the forecasts are 100% right. So we can see that the algorithms sometimes have minor mistakes, but most of the stocks went to the right direction, and the average was really high, while the S&P itself went down. So the algorithm actually gave us stocks that went up while the market went down, which is really unique to this specific predictive algorithm. And also in the 7 days, you can see here the 7 days time frame from the 20th of June. You can find stocks such as GRX from the pharma universe, which made 27% in 1 week. That's pretty amazing. And we can see that the EGRX is in the top of the forecast, which means this specific stock had the strongest signal. We can see it's 0.64. We can see the strongest signal among all the other stocks in the forecast, and we can see the big jump that it represents. Also, we also want to focus on high predictability level As we can see here, for example, THC in this specific forecast has the highest predictability, and we want to focus on high predictability as well, not just the signal itself. In the 14 days time frame, the forecast from 16th of June, that actually was over yesterday up until the June 30. We can find interesting stocks such as Uber, CCL, that made 22%, while the average of this forecast made 4%, almost 4.5%, while the S&P did only 0.5%. We can find, again, a variety of stocks, which is the Bank of America, MGM, General Motors, and other stocks. And in the 1 month, again, 1 month time frame, I'll remind you, you get all the time frames. Every day you get 6 time frames with the best stocks. I'm just showing you examples from different time frames and different packages. This specific package, we can find the stocks such as LILA, Bank of America. We can find the Apple and other unique stock. Again, this average almost doubled the S&P performance in this specific month in May 28. And again, we have longer time frames, such as 3 months, as we can see here. You can find MU and a lot of semiconductor stocks, such as AMAT, LRCX, TSM, and MU that made a significant return in those 3 months from the 25th of March. We're going to see a few examples about that later on. But again, the algorithm can pick the best stock from different sectors and bring it to your table on a daily basis. And those of you that like to trade for long time frames, such as 1 year, we can find here NVDA, again, with 200% from the 27th of June. Actually, the algorithm liked it from January 23. We can see LRCX, again, a lot of semiconductor stock, computer stocks, MU, TER that made really big returns through that year. And let's see a few examples from today. Some of you, which are members of our packages or subscribe to our service, did receive different packages. This one was generated from today. I mean, it's the yesterday date. It's the 30th of June, but yesterday was Sunday and there's no trade. So this specific forecast is for today. And we can see that the 4 best stocks that the algorithm focused on was Rivian Automotive, Tesla, Ford Motor, and Modin Manufacturing, and those stocks. Right now, before the beginning of this webinar, I took the returns and I saw a really nice returns just from the beginning of the trading day. So this is a really good example for the abilities of the forecast. It's a 3-day forecast for the next 3 days. So it's not just for today, but this beginning is already pretty good for all you that's trading the market. And in the same way, from the Russell 1000 package, which worked pretty good this year, we can find an interesting picture of the best 3 stocks that the algorithm represented in the long position. We can see EVR, QRVO, and SYF. That we see them in green and went up, while the ones that on the bottom, VRT and BBWI, are going down because they are colored red. They have a strong signal down, and we can see the strong movement down accordingly. And again, of course, I deleted the rest of the stocks because it's a 14 days forecast. We just gave you the best 3 from the top and the best 3 from the bottom. A quick example of the algorithm abilities, and just that for today. I mean, that's a nice performance, although it's a 2 weeks forecast.
By the way, X-ray, the last one, this one is also going down right now against the market by 0.7%. And again, yeah, it's a very good illustration of the way that you can utilize the predictive algorithm on a daily basis. Sorry, Ben.
Yeah, and it's a good example for the signals that I explained earlier. You can see that the VRT has the strongest signal down, 0.83, while EVR has the strongest signal up, EVR, and we can see that the movement of VRT is pretty strong in downward, while BBWI as well, going down in the same direction. And the last example from today forecast for the next month, we can see the shipping company, it seems ZIM, moving up with a strong signal and good predictability. You can see 0.52. That means 75% probability that SIM will move up in the next month. And we're already seeing it starting moving up today by 0.7%, while BBWI, which is in the bottom of the top 20 forecast, are going down by minus 1.77%. I just took the best one from the forecast and the worst one or the best one to short on in the bottom, and just show you how the algorithm is actually generating opportunities for long and short on a daily basis for different time frames. And I saw there was some question about options in the Q&A. Don't worry, we can see all your Q&A questions. We're going to answer them during this webinar. And this is the option package. You trade not the option itself, of course. You can trade the stocks that represent, of course, those specific options. And of course, this universe is more volatile. We can find strong movements of stocks in this specific package for the guys that like the people like high risk. This is a potential good package for them. But we can find EOSE that moves 12% in the beginning of the trading day. ARDX, actually the best four stocks that you can see here actually moved up in the beginning of the trade, except INFN maybe. And the one that on the bottom of this forecast, such as ACCD and SAVA, are moving down with strong signals on the short side.
By the way, we saw multiple forecasts today with Riven on the top part of the heat map, and the stock is moving up as we speak, right?
Yeah, looks good. RIVA right now. And again, this specific package is from today. Our clients got this package, and of course, they can see all the green cells that you won't see here and all the red cells, but we just gave you a quick example of the best four and the best four too short.
Yeah, another remark regarding the option, as Ben said, the algorithm is providing a daily prediction for the underlying assets. You can utilize this forecast in order to trade options. However, the daily forecast is always on the stock itself and not on the option. Most of those stocks have options, and you can basically utilize the prediction in order to trade options. However, please remember, of course, options is something that involves with high risk. So take it into account, please. But it's a very good tool that can screen and identify opportunities, and then you can take those opportunities forward and utilize options in order to trade those assets. However, you can also just trade the stocks themselves. And it's also all the examples that we are going to see today are by basically when we're focusing on the stocks themselves and not options.
Besides stock, we have the different assets that we provide the forecast on, such as the ETF. A really interesting package. I really like it. We can find the American ETF from different investment universes and different geographical places. For example, to the left, we can see a 3 days forecast, and we can find there the XLK, the tech sector. We can also find IWF, which is the Russell growth sector, EWT, which represent Taiwan, that we're going to talk about it later, which looks like a good market right now. The home builders and a lot of other sectors from the US market. We can see another forecast for 1 year to the right, that the algorithm actually tells us to focus on the technology sector last year, and so is the home builders and many other different sectors and ETF from the US market. I really like this ETF, and we're gonna talk about it again soon. Also, so for a long position, we also have, as you can see, short position, and Yaron is gonna elaborate about that a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, the beauty about this predictive algorithm is that it's not only providing opportunities for long, as we saw in the live examples. By the way, there are plenty of examples today in this webinar, plenty of live examples. Stay tuned until the end of the webinar, because by the end of the webinar, there are several predictions for the next month that might be very useful for you. So besides the opportunities that the algorithm is identifying on a daily basis based on the stocks to buy, the algorithm is also providing insights regarding stocks to sell or stocks to short sell. In addition, as Ben mentioned, the algorithm is also providing daily prediction for the S&P 500 index itself, and in some situations in the market, the algorithm is basically generating negative prediction also to the index itself. Sometimes the prediction is positive, as we saw in the beginning of this webinar. However, sometimes the prediction is negative, and this is a very good tool for risk management, basically. So if the algorithm is providing negative prediction for the S&P 500, we are suggesting to focus on the stocks that are located at the bottom of this table. In the left table, we can see an example from last year, basically from March last year, the 9th of March. You can find the date always on the top part of the heat map. And here you can find the 10 stocks that the algorithm identified as opportunities for short. And among those assets, we can find several stocks from the financial industry. If you remember, during this period, we have experienced the crisis in the financial industry. Among those 10 stocks, we can find Silicon Valley Bank, CFB. We can find First Republic Bank, and we can find additional assets that are coming from the financial sector. And it was a very useful prediction, because it's our clients that have received this prediction basically could manage the risk, could limit their exposure to the market, and basically focus on the short sell, or just to wait for a positive signal, basically. On the very same, we had a similar situation on February 2020. On the 25th of February 2020. Back then, we started to see a very negative indication regarding the S&P 500, and that strong assets came from the negative side. We all remember what happened during the Corona crisis. And we can see that the S&P 500 fell down by more than 8% during those 3 days, basically. Basically, it's happening from time to time, and it's very useful to take into account, as we saw in the live examples today, also the assets that are located in the bottom of each heat map. Yeah, Ben, show us what do we see here, even in this year.
Yeah, we can see another example for for the short position. And if we look at the S&P 500 this year, and actually going up from the beginning of 2024, around April, the beginning of April, I don't think that anyone knew that in that specific point, we can see a short recommendation, or the market will start to go down. But the algorithm actually saw that. We can see the forecast from the beginning of April, and we can see a negative forecast on the S&P 500 and the negative forecast on the Nasdaq IXIC that we can find here. By also the NDX 100, Nasdaq 100 also was in the red part of the table. Also in the 3 days and the 7 days, we saw a negative forecast for the market. We also saw the volatility, the VIX and the VXN are moving up the table, and with a strong signal actually being in the head of the table, which represent high volatility in the markets. And we saw that in that specific month, in April, the market went down by 3.5%, and the Nasdaq went down almost by 3.67. So the algorithm not just giving us opportunities for long or to buy, it also gave us warnings and tells us that we might need to go out of the market or maybe close some of our positions. So this is a very effective tool for risk management and also tracking opportunities in the market. And I'm going to show you a few examples from different stocks. If we're talking about the pharma stock, EGRX, we saw, I want to show you the timing of this specific forecast that the algorithm was generating on the 20th of June. And on 20th of June, we can see on the 7 days forecast, which is in this specific area, that the algorithm gave a really strong recommendation for EGRX. It's in the head of the forecast, as we can see here. And after, actually, the stocks went down like the days before. We didn't see any particular movement here. After going down, the algorithm gave her a strong recommendation, and we can see the jump that it had on the next 7 days, and going up in 27%. And that happened in the 20th of June, yeah, not long ago, like 10 days ago, that this forecast was generated. And another interesting examples for TSM, we can find TSM here in the 25th of March in this specific forecast, in the 3 months forecast. We didn't see any interesting or any special movement around the stock. But then after 3 months, you can see a big jump in the TSM stock, the semiconductor stocks, moving up pretty strongly. In the same way, MU, before the big jump on this 3 month, it was the strongest signal and the strongest stock in the forecast with the highest signal and pretty good predictability leading this forecast. And again, after 3 months, we saw a big movement of almost 30%. And we can see that the timing of this specific forecast was really, really good. Okay, let's talk about the market. We see a really interesting market from the beginning of the year, and Yaron is gonna elaborate about that. The stage is yours, yeah.
Yeah, so we spoke about the past. Let's talk about the future. If we're taking all the monthly performance of the average monthly performance of the S&P index since 2000, actually it's almost over the last 100 years on a monthly basis, we can see that basically July is a very strong month in the market. Specifically, yeah, we can see that the average return during July, we can see on the left chart, is 1.7, even more than January. You know, it's really common to think that the market is moving specifically in the beginning of the year or at the end of the year. we can see that basically in July, we can experience the strongest performance on average in the market. And basically, the first half of July has been the best 2 weeks period for the S&P since the very same date. So right now we are starting today, theoretically speaking, the strongest period in the US market. And how we can take advantage of this period, basically by using AI that can identify the opportunities in the market during this period, as we saw yesterday. The market during 2024 is being led mainly by 7 stocks, the Magnificent Seven assets, the Magnificent Seven stocks that are leading the market. We started this webinar with the forecast for the Magnificent Seven. Ben, you want to take this slide?
Yeah, sure. Those 7 stocks really made a significant movement from in the last month, as we suggested, by the way, in the last webinar. This is the forecast from the last webinar from the 28th of May. And we saw NVDA and Apple leading the forecast with Tesla. And we actually saw a strong movement this month from these specific stocks. But it's not just those 3, but most of those 7 stocks made some significant return from the beginning of the year and actually leading the markets throughout the 2024. We can see to the left the charts of the top 5 holdings weighted by the S&P 500. I mean, the top 5 S&P stocks in 2024 was with the high rates of 27%. That means that 5 stocks from the S&P 500 are actually 27% of the S&P 500. That's a lot, and that's a really big percentage of the market, and they are actually controlling the market and moving the market by themselves. And to the right, we can also see that the most held stocks by the hedge funds in the US market, that we see that Microsoft, Amazon, those big 7 are held by the most strongest and biggest hedge funds in the US market. It's an interesting data, and it's interesting data to see the percentage of companies that holding specific stocks from those Magnificent Seven, and that's why we also actually giving you a solution to that big 7, Magnificent Seven phenomena. We can see actually here from the beginning of the year the performance of each and every stocks in the S&P 500. But we can basically see that the big stocks, such as NVIDIA, again, the Magnificent Seven, Microsoft, Apple, Google, Amazon, made some crazy returns. If you see NVIDIA with 150%, that we all know, Microsoft with 20%, and we can see Google with almost 30%, Amazon with 26% from the beginning of the year. All of them are outperforming the S&P 500 itself, and they actually controlling the market or moving the market to the direction of those big 7 stocks. So we are offering, as we saw in the last webinar, a special package for those Magnificent Seven, that I'm gonna talk about it right in 1 minute. Our first webinar sale for today is the Independence Day. We offer you a 15% discount with a special coupon that calls July 4th. That gives you 15% discount to all our packages for the next 24 hours. So just for the webinar the crowd, you can use the special coupon of July 4th in our package page, and you get a strict discount of 50% from the price. Another really interesting sale that we are presenting you is the 1+1 packages. You buy one and get one for free, actually, for $299 per month. You can choose any two packages that you want from the package page, and plus you get some really special packages that only in this specific sale, such as the semiconductor package or the tech package, that you can find in this specific sale. The third one that I'm going to represent you is
By the way, all those deals are available right now on the webinar chat, so you can go to the chat and those deals are available there, right? Can you see it, Ben?
Yeah, it's available on the chat. You can click on the link, and it gets you right to the all of those three sales. And the third sale is the 6-month subscription. You get two packages for $269 per month, paid every 6 months. And you get the Big 8 package that I talked about earlier. The Big 8 package, that is the Magnificent 7 package, that also include the US indices, the NASDAQ, the Dow Jones, the S&P 500 in this specific package. And this is only available for the 6-month subscription that you see here. If you want the Big 8 package, you can get it with the webinar sale 3, while subscription for 6 months, choosing two packages for $269 per month, and you get the Big 8 for free. I think that's a really good deal and really interesting deal. I'm gonna repeat it shortly. Again, we have the Independence Day sale. For the next 24 hours, you can get 50% off of all of our packages using the coupon July 4th. You can cancel it, of course, anytime. You have no commitment for that. Our second webinar sale is 1+1. You get two packages for $299 a month. You can choose any package that you want from the website or from this specific page that you're gonna see by clicking on the chat. And you can choose two packages, such as the ETF and the top 10. You can combine again the ETF package with the S&P 500 package, and click and see which packages are available in this specific sale. The third sale is the 6-month subscription, while you get two packages for $269, and you get the Big 8 package for free, the Magnificent 7 package for free, which includes the US indices in this specific package. All right. The next thing I want to represent to you is our special 2024 report, which we are proudly presenting in the beginning of the year, in the beginning of 2024. In this specific report, the algorithm choose the best assets to hold for the following 6 months, and that was launched in the beginning of January into 2024. And I'm going to show you some examples from this specific report. In this specific report, of course, what we suggest is just to buy those assets and to hold them for 6 months or for the entire year in this case. But we are launching a new report today, actually, for the next 6 months. The best asset that the algorithm tells you to hold for the next 6 months, and without any changes, just holding it for a long time frames. And I want to show you a few examples from our last report that we launched in the beginning of the year. The stocks that appeared in this specific report was LRCX, AMAT, WSM, from different universe. This is the semiconductors, this is from the home builders. In this specific report, we have a lot of things to offer for you: stocks, ETF, cryptocurrencies, currencies, commodities, interest rate, different stocks from different sector, if it's the technology or healthcare or consumer. We are locating and we are finding the best stocks, and we put it all together in one report that you can purchase for $699. I'm going to show you a quick a slide that actually shows all the assets that were in that report and the performance up until now from the beginning of the year. Of course, you can find NVDA, THC from the pharma universe, which made almost 76%, Ethereum and Bitcoin, which we also recommended in the beginning of the year, AMAT, LRCX, ASML, a lot of semiconductor stocks, and the stocks itself, the sector itself was recommended by the algorithm. We can find Google, General Motors, Nifty PSU from India for the financial sector in India. And you can find here a lot of other stocks that we recommend, stocks and ETF that we recommended to buy or to short. We have some shorting also here. For example, we recommended to short the VIX, the volatility index, and all of that is available in our special report that you can purchase right now in the website. It includes all the things that I mentioned. Again, ETF, best stock, best industries, level 1, level 2 industries, and I'm going to talk about it in a few more minutes. Currencies, cryptocurrencies, commodities, whatever you should hold for the next 6 months. In this amazing report, I must say, I've been watching him from 2020, and it made amazing return each and every year. I think it's one of the best products that we can offer you. And those of you that doesn't like to trade on a daily basis or a weekly basis and just want to buy some assets for long periods, I highly recommend this report. And you can purchase it now in the website and in the link that Yaron is giving the chat.
Yeah, and another thing, if you go back to the chart, Ben is being modest here. Just to illustrate, the clients that bought this report in the beginning of 2024 has received basically the best stock in the S&P 500, the NVIDIA, basically, that outperformed the market during the beginning of the year. Also, THC was another asset that was outperforming during this period. We can find here applied materials from the semiconductors. We can find here several cryptocurrencies that moved up, LRCX from the semiconductors, ASML, the semiconductor index itself, Google that reached all-time high during this period, General Motors that against the odds managed to deliver and to outperform basically. And basically, we are generating this report twice during the year, on the beginning of the year. And now, exactly today, we are starting to work on the second half edition. So the idea is to provide you the best opportunities for buy and hold approach for the long term and for the rest of the 2024. It's not for trading purposes, to buy today and to sell in few days. It's more for buy and hold for the next several months. And again, it's a very comprehensive report that includes different asset classes, one-time report that is very strong and can actually provide a lot of benefits to your investment during the rest of the year, basically.
Exactly.
By the way, the level 1 and level 2 is not available on the website at all. The level 1 and the level 2 ETFs that are available here. It's available only to institutional, to hedge funds, to family offices, and it's part of this report.
And that's what exactly I'm going to talk about in the next few minutes. I want to talk about some artificial intelligence strategies that we are developing and developed using the algorithm to actually manage a live portfolio that perform from the S&P 500 universe and outperform the market each and every year. We are using S&P 500 stocks To whom of you that doesn't really know the S&P 500, of course, it's the biggest 500 companies that traded in the US market. The SPY ETF is the one that followed this specific index. And of course, it's actually considered as a global benchmark to the stock market. And so all of the stocks that are going to be chosen from this in those specific strategies are from the S&P 500 universe. We can see here what it's made of. Basically, almost 30, I think now it's a little bit even more, maybe 33% of the S&P is from technology stocks. You can see healthcare and financial services are with a 12% out of this specific market index. And I'm going to represent a few of our strategies. The first one is the high performance strategy. What we see here is a quick review of our strategies. That again, in this specific one, we are choosing 20 stocks from the S&P 500 on a monthly basis. I mean, the algorithm choose the best stocks to long or to short from the S&P 500. And we can see the performance of those stocks in the last 4 years, from 2020 up until almost 2024. We can see the overall return of the strategy almost 370%, while the S&P did 33% in those years. And this specific strategy with a high risk one chooses the best stocks every month for long or short. We have a low risk strategy that focus on low drawdowns and more and less volatility, and other strategies such as long short on the SPY itself, long only strategy, and long short on sectors and industries, which I'm going to talk about soon. As I said, the first one was the high performance one, focusing on 20 stocks for long or for short of each and every month, and then holding those stocks for the entire month. We can see the yearly performance of the strategy that outperforming the S&P in each and every year. And we can see actually the live portfolio from last April. The algorithm actually gave us 20 stocks to short. We saw that April was kind of a bad month while the market went down. The algorithm provided us 20 stocks from the S&P 500 to short, and we actually succeeded to do 6.6% return, while the S&P itself went down by 3.3%. To the right, we can see those months from December, and you can see the performance of the algorithm in the last from the beginning of the year, actually, with a return of almost 24% up until the end of April. And another interesting strategy that is really popular for our institutional clients and hedge fund clients is the level 1, level 2. I'll expand a little bit about the level 1 and the level 2. The level 1 is actually the 11 main sectors in the S&P 500. XLK, for example, the technology sector, or XLE, the energy, are belonging to this level 1. The level 2 represent the 24 industries, which is subsectors. For example, the semiconductors, XSD, or the XSW, which belong to the XLK, the technology sector. Those two industries actually belong to the XLK. And we generated a strategy that's focusing on the level 1 or level 2 each and every month. The first example is just by the algorithm, and on a monthly basis, choose the best sector to long or to short it from those 11 sectors. And that actually made 254% in the last 4 years. And it's a simple strategy. The algorithm choose the best sector to long or to short once a month, and not a lot of maintenance, and still succeed to generate a really high return. And we can see the return in each and every year. And we can actually see also the sectors that are chosen throughout the years. This is for 2020. If they decided to focus on the XLF, the finance, or shorting. When we see the red arrow is short, the XLRE, the retail, and the real estate, sorry. And we can see each and every month what the algorithm choose to be in the specific sector. It's a really popular strategy among our institutional clients with a kind of low risk strategy as well. And we can see each and every year what the algorithm actually chose to focus on from 2022, which it leads up and actually the strategy was above the market while the market went down in that year. Interesting to see again that 2023, while we decided to short the financial sector, as Yaron mentioned in the beginning of the webinar, the bank crisis that we have on March 2023, while we shorted this specific sector, gave us this big jump over the S&P 500. And another interesting strategy that I wanna tell you about is the long-only strategy. In this specific strategy, the algorithm is actually choosing a tree of the level 1 sector and rotate every month, and it chooses the best sector to be in each and every month, just for long, without shorting those sectors, and of course giving them up until 25% exposure for each and every sector. Sorry. And the interesting thing about this strategy that we can see here, that the algorithm knows every month to be in the right sector. And this amazing stat that I have here, that 41 out of the 57 rebalancing that we had in this portfolio, the algorithm chooses to be in one or more sectors from the best sector in the industry, which means the algorithm knows to focus on the best sectors in each and every month. In most of the cases, it actually outperformed the S&P. As we can see here, this table represents all the sectors that we have in the GEEX level 1. And the yellow squares represent the sector that the algorithms decided to be in. And we can see in every rebalance which sector the algorithm chose to be in. And here we can see the portfolio return compared to the S&P 500. And here we can find the sectors and the weights that we're giving to each and every sector. Of course, the algorithm also decide what weight each sector should be or should hold. And this specific strategy, I think it's really interesting. It's really interesting to see how the algorithm locates the best sector in each and every rebalance. So we can take, for example, if we're choosing this specific rebalance in the 3rd of May 2023, we can see the algorithm choose to be on the XLK and the XLC, the communication and the technology sectors, and by that almost double the performance of the S&P in that specific month. So that's another ability that we are showing, that the algorithm could not just choose stocks from the stocks universe. We can also focus on ETFs, on sectors from level 1 or level 2. And again, another strategy is focusing on the industries. As we saw there earlier in the slide, the GEEX level 2. Here, the algorithm performed a highly return of almost 500% in 4 years, just by focusing on the best industries from the level 2, as we can find here in the 2020, in the beginning of 2020, while shorting the real estate, the retail, and the telecommunication, or in the other cases, longing different industries throughout the year. We can also see the 2023 year again. While if in the last strategy we shorted the XLF, here we can short the industry, not just the sector. We know which industry to short. For example, the banks, KBE, the real estate, and the insurance company. We shorted those subsector or industries, and that gave us this significant return over the S&P 500 in the 4 years of the strategy. And you can see a few the portfolio and results from this specific strategy, winning and outperforming the market by choosing again 3 industries every month. The last strategy that I'm going to present is the one that actually sold to the Israeli investment house, biggest Israeli investment house, Meitav. This one was a long-only strategy on stocks. It's actually launching the Israeli market from the beginning of this year and performing pretty well since it's been launched. So this specific strategy focus on long-only stocks and combining the industries and sectors from the level 1 and level 2 that we saw earlier. It's like a combination of both strategies, and we're really proud of this collaboration that we have with Tav. And if any institutional clients are in this crowd now, please contact us or me. This is my personal mail. Or through the website, and we'll be happy to find the solutions to your company as well. All right. Other assets that the algorithm generate the forecast on is of course
I can continue. Have a glass of water. You spoke a lot.
Yeah. I'm speaking in a row.
Okay, so I see a lot of people that are investing in cryptos in the crowd, and I'm proud to say that INO-FIRST predictive algorithm is one of the only research tools that can provide you an insights regarding cryptocurrencies. The algorithm basically screen and creating a ranking on a daily basis and daily prediction for over 200 different cryptocurrencies, the major ones, but also the small ones. And it's in those examples we can see here different predictions for cryptocurrencies, alt cryptocurrencies, but also major ones. On the left side, we can see a short-term prediction that the algorithm was generating, and on the right side, we can see a 1-year prediction that the algorithm was generating for this asset class, this unique asset class. By the way, the report for the end of 2024 is going to include also the top cryptocurrencies to invest in the end of 2024. So this is another asset class that's being covered in this special report. But it's also possible to actually subscribe to a dedicated package that basically on a daily basis providing you the top cryptocurrencies in the very same way that you see in this slide basically. We are also generating and providing packages for the world indices. Basically, the algorithm is creating ranking for all the indices around the globe and actually providing you the ability to understand and to see which index is the strongest right now. For instance, in the previous year, we can see in the right side that the algorithm was focusing on the semiconductors and the Russell 1000 and the home builders. So don't worry, but when you're buying this package, you're also receiving basically something like a dictionary that can help you to convert each ticker here to the index itself. And it can provide you a very good market intelligence tool to help you to find out where to focus. On top of that, we are also providing daily forecast for the fixed income asset class, interest rate basically, commodities. I see a lot of questions in the chat about commodities, so it's available as well. And also currencies. On a daily basis, the algorithm is providing daily forecast for multiple currencies, exotic ones, and also the major ones. On top of that, the algorithm is also providing daily forecast for different stock exchanges around the globe. I see a lot of people from Canada here. So basically every day the algorithm is providing opportunities from the Toronto Stock Exchange, as well as other markets, European markets, UK, London Stock Exchange, basically Japan, Italy, Australia, Hong Kong, and Shanghai and Shenzhen in China, basically, and of course, India. And yeah, the DynoFirst predictive algorithm is also available in the Indian market. It's part of, it's now available for more than 400,000 retail investors from India that utilizing this predictive algorithm on a daily basis as part of our unique partnership with one of the main brokers in India.
All right. And in the last webinar, we showed you the level 1 and level 2. And I want to show you what it performed in this specific month. We can see here that the algorithm especially focused on the XLK, the technology sector. XLK was one of the leading sectors with the strongest signal and the best predictability. If we're comparing XLU to XLK, you can see that XLK has highest predictability, and we want to focus always on the highest predictability. XLC also has high predictability, and focusing on both of them would generate you a significant return this month with 7.65 from the technology sector. And the semiconductors and the capital markets also was recommended by the algorithm in the last month. And we also showed you the indices forecast, what we're going to show you today as well for the next month. And just a quick review of what happened this month. We can see the Taiwan weighted in the semiconductors. Both of them were in the top of the forecast with the highest signal and good predictability. Taiwan looked pretty good on the 28th of May, and we saw it move by 9% this month. And while the semiconductors made the 6.77, we can also find the Nasdaq and Nasdaq 100 also in the top of the table, which both of them made some significant return. The VIX, we find it in the bottom of the table, but it's now like it's an easy fact for you to now to see that the VIX was in the bottom of the table. But I'll bring you back to the beginning of the month, and there was a lot of people really didn't know what to do. They didn't know where the market's going to go to. They didn't know the direction of the market. And this forecast just told them that what to focus on, and the volatility is decreasing in this month. And it actually happened, as we can see here, that while the VXN was in the bottom of the table and actually moved down as predicted. And now we're going to talk about what's going to happen next month and what the algorithm thinks about the market in the next month. So from the level 1, as we explained earlier, the 11 main sectors from the S&P 500 we can find. In the first place, XLC, the communication sector still looks pretty strong. After it, XLK and XLY with a good signal. So XLC and XLK still looks pretty good. We can find the XLF, the financial sector, in the red part of the table, which is interesting. And we can see it not that good in the following month, but the communication looks pretty good. We can still see the semiconductors in the level 2, and the telecommunication, again, as we saw in the level 1. And XSW is the software and services that looks pretty good as well for the next month. In the red part of the table, we can find XME, which is metals and mining sector or industry, and XOP, which is the energy, looking a little bit more reddish than the other industries. So that's from level 1, level 2. And then now we're going to see the indices forecast for the next month, what the algorithm generated. We can find the Taiwan Stock Exchange, the Taiwan Equal Weight Index that we can find here. still in the top of the table. With the semiconductors, and we can find here as well the oil services. OS6 is in the top of the table with quite a low predictability, not that high as the others, but the signal is pretty good. We can still find the Nasdaq as the leading sector, as the leading index from the US market. We can find the Vietnam Stock Exchange looking good, and the financial sector in India with a strong signal, and Nasdaq 100, S&P 100 is still looking good and in the top of the table, and as well as the S&P 500 index, we can still see it positive for the next month, which is a good sign. And in the red part of the table, I just sliced it into two parts. We can still find the VXN and the VIX, the volatility indices are pretty low. We can find SX7 here. We can find here, it's the banks in Europe, which looks not that good. And we can find it in the red side of the table. Housing and airlines company, XAL, also looks pretty reddish for the next month.
By the way, as we speak, XAL, the airline index, is going down by 1.7% against the market. The market is positive, so it's almost like 2% behind the market. It's very interesting to see that. It's an industry that's exposed to the high interest rates and basically is struggling right now. And it's interesting to see the TWII and the semiconductors on the positive side, mainly that the specific, the market in Taiwan is also quite correlated with the semiconductors industry. We spoke about TSM in this webinar, so we see that the bullish prediction that the AI algorithm has to the semiconductors itself, and also to Taiwan, and also oil services, as you mentioned, Ben. And how can I take advantage of this, basically, Ben?
So now that we know what's the best sector for the next month, we can combine it with the packages that we represent you earlier, and I'm going to represent in a few more minutes again. But just before that, I'm going to show you the forecast for the next month of the Max 7. You can see Tesla here is leading this specific forecast. So again, using and holding those stocks and packages can help you navigate throughout the market. And we're presenting 4 special webinar sales for you. Again, the first one giving you is 50% off from all the packages that in the packages page, by using the coupon July 4th that we can see here in the bottom, and it will generate a 50% discount to all the packages. The second sale is the 1+1, but for $299 per month, you get to choose 2 packages. And here you can, for example, combine the ETF package or the indices package that you just saw, and seeing that, like the semiconductors, we saw the stocks was a pretty strong sector right now. So you can choose the semiconductor package and see a specific stock from the stocks universe, from the semiconductor universe. And this specific package is actually belong just to those 2 sales, the webinar sale 2 and webinar sale 3. You cannot find the semiconductor package in the website. You can just get it through this specific sale. Combining 2 packages, I think, is the ultimate way to navigate through the markets here. You know which sector to be in, and you know how to pick the best stock that the algorithm provides to you. The third webinar sale is the 6-month subscription. We have it 2 packages for $269 per month, paid every 6 months, and you get for free exclusively the Big 8 package that you can get anywhere else, just in this specific sale. And we saw how important to know in which Big 8 stocks to be in, which leads the market right now. So this package comes with also major US indices in it. Add on top of those 8 stocks that we gave you, Meta, Microsoft, Apple, Netflix, NVDA, Google, Tesla, and Amazon. We are also providing the indices forecast for the S&P 500, for the Russell, and for the Nasdaq, and the Dow Jones. So it's a really, really recommended package. And this specific sale, I think, is the best out of those 4. And the last...
Yeah, by the way, here it's like basically you're buying one package, you're paying for one package, and you're receiving 2 packages for free, right? Because you can choose one package that you like, you can choose another package. You are receiving also the magnificent, the upgraded Magnificent 7 package with Netflix as well, daily prediction for Netflix and the daily prediction for the major US indices. So basically, you are receiving 2 packages for free. Yeah.
Yeah, you're getting another package for free, and you can change package every month. I mean, if you had enough from the semiconductor, you made enough return, and you want to make some return from the energy sector or from the financial sector, or from generating the top 10 from the top 10 package that represents stocks from the entire US market, you can switch it every month, and you can switch 2 of those packages to any package that you want. So this deal is really recommendable. And the 4th one is our special report. Again, that's going to be launched tomorrow, I think, actually. And there we have all the best assets you should hold for the next 6 months for a long time frame. You get for $6.99 one payment, and you get the asset that you should hold for the next 6 months. We had a lot of clients that like this specific product. I think is one of the best, one of our best product. You get their stocks, ETFs, leading sectors, cryptocurrencies, commodities, currencies, global indices, anything that the algorithm thinks is good to hold for the next 6 months, and just hold. You get this specific report, which is highly recommended.
Right. Okay, Ben, tell us what is the people are first. A lot of people, I see a lot of people in the chats are asking where they can find those exclusive webinar deals. So you have a chat window. If you're clicking on the bottom of your screen, there is a chat window. You can click there, and then you can see the webinar chat. In the webinar chat, we have placed all the 4 different webinar deals that are available during the next 24 hours. So just follow the links.
Yeah, and the website itself, iknowfirst.com. You can see all the webinar sales in the front page for the next 24 hours. So you have to be quick on that. Choose the best deal for you. You can find it in our homepage on iknowfirst.com as well. And I think we can answer some of the questions now, because I see a lot of questions. Okay,
yes.
Let's see.
Okay, so first people are asking, what are your suggestions for the 1+1 deals, the 6-month deals or the monthly deals?
I really like the ETF package, as I said earlier, and I'm right now, as we saw, the semiconductor package still looks good. So it's combining the ETF package with the semiconductors, or the ETF with the S&P 500 package. We also saw that the S&P 500, the S&P index looks good, and they have some big stocks there, and the volatility is not that high. It's a good universe to be in, and I think the S&P 500 is one of the best package to be in right now. This is if I have to choose 2 packages, I would combine those two.
Okay, and I'm also a big fan of the ETF package. So this is my first suggestion, my first pick. The second pick, since we see that the market is generally good during July, I'm willing to take more risk. I think that top 10 package could be could be relevant for this period. I also a big fan of the report that you're doing, I have to say, every 6 months. So my picks are the top 10, the ETF, and the report basically that you are presenting here.
All right, let's
Okay.
see some other questions.
Yeah. Okay. Let's.
The coupon is for the first month only. Yeah, I see that. That was a question there. Applies for the first month. The other sales, of course, the list price is fixed and doesn't change.
Yeah. More questions. People are asking what are the yellow cells?
The yellow cells are the one that I marked just for you. This doesn't come with the forecast itself. So don't wait for the yellow squares in the forecast. It's not going to be there. It's just me marking for you the best assets in the forecast.
Right. Okay, let's continue. There are some specific questions regarding the option to receive a customized forecast based on each client portfolio. Is it possible?
Yeah, we also provide a examine portfolio package while you deliver 10 assets that you want to get a forecast on, and the algorithm on a daily basis, it gives you the forecast on these specific assets, if to hold them, buy them, or to sell them. And so to whom of you have a big portfolio or interesting in 10 other stocks or 10 assets that you can choose, the algorithm will provide a daily forecast on those specific assets. Of course, this be assets that have more than 2 years of trading and enough volume that they could be predicted.
Yeah. Another question, with the rate cut coming most likely in September, would you recommend the small caps package? Interesting question, Ben.
It is. We can monitor by the way, the interest rate and by the indices package we have there, three index rates such as FVX, TNX, and TYX that are telling us the prediction for the government bonds, the 5 years Treasury government bond, the 10 years, and 30 years. So by that we can know and monitor the interest rate. And of course, I think if in September the interest rate will go down, I think the majority of the market will add to those big seven that we're seeing from the beginning of the year, and we'll see some movement up, another movement up by the market. But again, you have to be on the right stocks, and even from the small cap universe, the algorithm can help you focusing on the best small caps stocks. And again, small caps have a higher risk involved, so keep that in mind.
I would suggest to combine it, if you're choosing the small caps in the 1+1 deal, I would suggest to adjust the risk and to combine it with the top 10 package or the top 10 S&P 500 stocks just in order to migrate the risk, basically. But it's a very good question. Basically, when the interest rates will start, we will see when we will see the interest rate effect over the market. Russell 1000 for sure, and maybe Russell 2000 stocks might become relevant again. Any additional questions that you see, Ben?
I think we answered most of them during the webinar itself. And just to say thank you to everybody that stayed with us up until now after one hour and a half of a webinar. And we really appreciate that. And of course, if you have any question, please ask us through the support mail and contact us, and we'll be happy to answer any of the questions. All the webinar sales are in the home page, and you go check it out. And I hope to see you in the next webinar next month. And thank you for your time.
Ben, thank you very much for a very interesting webinar. We saw several opportunities today. We saw Tesla. We saw several stocks that are jumping as we speak. And again, thank you for the comprehensive webinar. It was very interesting. And I see all the positive feedbacks in the chat. So congratulations, Ben.
Thank you very much, Sharon. Have a pleasant evening.
Thank you very much. If there is any additional questions, please feel free to send us an email and we will address it. Thank you very much, guys. Successful month. Bye-bye.